talking about there seems like a very people-centric sort of brand-building process. What are your thoughts on, social media? Is it all about having, it focused around that one person and building that personal brand? Or can it also lend itself to businesses as well, like a particular business promoting? Or how do you think that works?
It lends itself perfectly to either one. If you're an individual and you want to build a personal brand, it's superb for that. If you're a company, it's superb for extending your brand or building your brand awareness of your company as well. The key is that you have to have either someone who is in a position of authority, a CEO, a senior director of marketing, if you're a larger company, whatever it is, giving the authentic voice to that message. If not that person, then you have to empower the person who's going to write whatever it is they will, and to give them the authority to be able to, to create your voice or take your voice and carry it out to the masses in a way that you approve of and that's coherent with you, and also so that the experience that people have meets the expectation you've created when they come into your store or they buy your product or they call you on the phone. So it works perfectly for either one. And it's just a matter of creating that authentic voice, being very transparent, being very relevant, and making sure that if it's for a company or product and it's not the senior people themselves writing and doing it, that the person that they've put in charge, that they have enough trust in that they will authorize them and give them the authority to do what they need to do.
That's like some awesome feedback there, and having the correct voice for it, especially when it filters through to all of these different action items that you did give. I'm wondering, you talked about social media also being the first step. That little sort of action plan that you just gave us there, is that something that you, when you're first working with a client, you just say, here, this is what you need to follow? And then as far as breaking it down even further, writing a blog post, we're talking just setting up a blog hosted on your own server? Maybe I'll drill down into each one just to get a little bit more on each one of those topics. So for a blog, how would you go about setting up that blog and getting them ready for that?
There's a couple of ways of setting up the blog. You can either use Posterous, like I talked about before, again you'll find at Posterous, posterous.com, which is a free blog service. You can port a domain name over to it so that it would be, your domain, and then your blog would just show up when they type that in. You can do that, or you can use a WordPress blog or a TypePad blog, any of them that you want to. The purpose of the blog, though, is to develop links back to your main website so that when searches are done, people end up back to wherever it is that your products and services are, so they can learn more about your company. And so to set up the blog, it's very simple. I mean, I'm not going to walk through the technical steps of setting up WordPress, but you set up a WordPress blog, and that's where all your posts are going to be at. Ideally, if you use a WordPress blog, it would be a subdomain of your main website. So, you just have a link to it. It would be, in my case, how to sell when nobody's buying.com/blog, or boldapproach.com/blog, or whatever it is, and then it would go there. Those are the kind of things that you want to do. Then from there, what happens is your domain is ranking higher and higher in the search engines because everything is your domain/blog/ whatever the topic is with the keywords in it, and that's what's going to get it ranked. So the purpose of the blog, again, is to drive traffic back to your website, and as well as to showcase your knowledge, because as people search for these terms or they search for these keyword phrases, they're coming back to you and seeing you as the most knowledgeable expert. My goal when I help a client start this process is to think of it like this, that we're casting a net, and any place you step on the internet, we want you to step into our little net so that we can reel you in.
Some of these other nets that you're setting, things like the video, how do you go about distribution for that? Are we talking just YouTube, or are you using other services like TubeMogul, or?
Excellent question. YouTube is still the biggest traffic driver of them all. So we definitely focus on YouTube, and it's the same thing. The thing that people miss on YouTube, though, is they don't think through, from a keyword standpoint, what they title their videos. So we focus very hard on what title are we going to give the video, because, again, that's what helps it show up in the search engine. They forget to put a hyperlinked URL in the description back to their website so that when people do go there, they can. They forget to edit the video to include something that tells people where their website is at on the video so that while people are watching it, they know where to go. All of these things make a difference. And then, so we focus on YouTube first, and then we use TubeMogul to distribute it to as many different places as we can. Because again, this, we're trying to spread this out as far as possible and find people wherever they reside or wherever they find us.
Cool. And audio was another thing that you mentioned. For distribution of that, is it more through the blog, or you've got audio services as well for distribution?
Yeah, it's a combination of things, really. We focus on iTunes quite heavily because it's fairly simple if you have a niched category to be the number one show in iTunes. So even if you can use things like, it's just very simple. There's podcastradio.com, and there's a number of other services like that. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank now. Of a couple of the other services that allow you just to set up your own Blog Talk Radio. That's the big one. blogtalkradio.com allows you to set up a very quick radio show that you can then integrate into iTunes and start moving it up the charts, because many people still do search iTunes for free things to listen to that they're interested in. And so again, we're focused on and all of this is about generating and building an audience and a following. So we're trying to reach out to as many people as we can in as many different ways as we can, so that wherever they look, they keep stumbling across us in your product or service or topic category.
Yeah, and then some of these other things that you're doing, setting those nets, there's the tweeting. Obviously, that's done through Twitter. Are you looking at sort of integrating any of that? I know Posterous has that option where you can be posting on there and directly post on other Web 2.0 properties and have it fed through. Yep. Do you link that together, or do you sort of see it as, separate channels to be handled as such?
I try and link it all together because, again, for those people who are following me and who have contacted me, I want them to be able to get my best information first. So whether they may not be watching my Posterous post as often as they watch my Twitter feed. They may subscribe to my Twitter feed on their cell phone or my Facebook updates on their cell phone. So if they've got their cell phone in front of them, when I post a new Posterous post, I want it to show up on their cell phone right away. I want it to show up wherever they're at. I want to have the highest likelihood that these people are going to click and engage with me and then share that information with people. And the best way to do that is to provide them with multiple different sorts of pieces of information in wherever they might be so that they can click on it immediately.
Cool. And I think the other one you mentioned was obviously LinkedIn and using that as well. And obviously that all links in together. You take them through that process. It's a 3-month process, the 90 days, and having a little bit of a look, you can see you're very much looking at your on-page optimization and selecting the keywords, making sure they're in the appropriate pages. Then you also effectively get some off-page optimization because it's all linking together. Your YouTube linking back to your site and your blog and all that, and Twitter linking through. So it's all linking through there. Do you do any sort of other off-page optimization, or like it's all internally all of those different sites you're working on?
No, I do other things as well. I mean, I encourage people to put up things like this interview, for example. I encourage people to link back to my site for the interviews, so that they can find out more about me, so that I'm getting obviously the extra, the backlinks that count. I do guest posts on other blogs and those kind of things. I also do offline marketing as well for things where I'll send out postcards. I'll use something like voiceshot.com and go to my existing customer list and make them aware, for example, that I've got a new blog post, or when my book came out, that my book was releasing, and let them know about it first. They get a personal message from me, those kind of things, as well as, I still maintain an email list and encourage those people to interact with me, because even if they unsubscribe from my email list, chances are high by now they've subscribed to me in one of these other places, so I'm not really losing them. Although on the other hand, I don't really care if people leave me email or any place else. If they don't find me compelling and interesting, and they're not going to buy from me, I don't really like wasting my energy with them, so if they leave, I'm okay with that.